Welcome. In this video we're going to be doing some care for the low back, looking at pelvic stability, so that means glutes. So you're going to start lying on your back. We're going to take some bridges to begin, but if your low back is tender, you're going to be really mindful about the height of this. So make sure that the back of your shoulders and armpits are pressing down onto the mat. Have your feet about sit bone distance apart, and if you need to, you may need to grab a block to put between your inner thighs. You're just going to keep the spine in neutral, press down through your feet and lift the hips in one piece so the spine is staying completely still. As you drive the hips up, keep pushing through the feet. Think about drawing up from your sit bones. Inhale, when you get to the top, make sure the back of the shoulders are pressing down into the floor, but the ribs are soft on the front, so we're not arching. Keeping the spine long and in neutral. And then control coming back down in one piece. So just hinging from these hips. Drive up, push all four corners of your feet. So that's the big toe joint, the pinky toe, the inner heel and the outer heel. As you come up, make sure that your knees are on track with the center of your hips. Squeeze into the back of the shoulders. Keep that back body active by keeping what's on the floor, your shoulders and your feet pushing into the ground, and then hinging back down. So if that feels like that's enough for you, you're going to stay. And you could be practicing just at this height if that's where your back can go. It doesn't matter if you're not coming to the full height if your back is not good. So you can keep this back nice and low and just practice this height. If you feel stronger, you can lift up if your back is okay. We're going to add a little challenge. So we're going to, whatever height you're at, if it feels okay, you're just going to start to try and lift your right heel, pouring all your weight into that left leg. And then pop the right heel back down. Pour all your weight into your right leg, lift the left heel. We're trying to make sure that as we do these little heel lifts, we keep the hips super level. So you can always put your hands next to your hip bones and just double check that they're not rocking side to side. And if it feels okay for you to stay here, you can stay. Otherwise, come down and take a break. I'm going to continue up here for those of you who want that extra challenge and feel okay. And that's going to be that you really stand onto that left leg, keep it completely still to lift the right foot. The lower the foot, the harder it is. So if you're lifting your foot super high, you're only cheating yourself. Gently peel that foot off, little walks, keeping the hips super still. And to do that, you're going to engage into the inner heel and the inner big toe of the standing leg. Feel the sit bones still active and driving up towards the ceiling. And keep the ribs nice and soft. Only a few things to think about, right? One more with each side, just really ensuring that you're nice and stable, in the pelvis, left and right, as you're taking this little walk. And then hinging from those hips, come back down to the floor. If you need to take a little twist just to ease out the hips, feel free to do so. And then we're going to roll over onto one side. On your side, you can either rest your head into your arm or you can grab a pillow. Make sure that there is space for your waist underneath so that you've got the natural curve, so you can use your fingers as a prompt if you need to. And stack the hips and the shoulders. You can extend the bottom leg if you feel like you've got the balance, or you can keep the bottom leg bent. So I'm going to do it with the bottom leg bent today. And we're going to lift up that top knee, keeping it nice and bent if you can. And then from here, you're going to extend the top leg like you're standing on something and then bending it back in. Make sure you keep it at hip height and step it away. You can flex through the foot as you're doing this. And what's really tempting here will be to start to do things like let the waist drop. Or it might be to let this hip come up, right? And it sags in my waist. So I'm going to keep this space for my bottom waist. Keep my knee in line with my top hip. And keep stamping away. Okay, next time I stamp my leg out, I'm going to hold it out nice and straight, point through my toes and circle my leg. And as I circle this leg, I'm going as fast and as furious as I can maintain stability. So if I'm starting to lose this, then I need to go slower and I need to go smaller. Reverse your circles. Think about drawing these two hip bones together, keeping this lift of this underneath rib and waist. The ribs are soft and connected. Hold the leg still and then just take it for a little swing forwards and a little swing backwards. A little swing forwards and a little swing backwards. 3 more. Keep the ribs still, keep the shoulders still. You can use your hand as a training wheel if you need to keep your balance, but try not to roll as you're doing it. Keep yourself stacked in the shoulders and the hips. Last one. Come back to center and let the leg come down. Before we're finished with that leg, we're going to come up onto your knees. And on your high knees, if you need a cushion or a blanket or something underneath your knees, do grab it. Take that same leg you just worked out to the side. Take your arms out. Now make sure that you're really on top of that supporting leg. So sometimes we can end up a bit like this. You really want to make sure that your hip, your center of your hip is over the center of the knee. Press through the pinky toe of that extended leg, pull up the kneecap, and then we're just going to take a nice big stretch away from that leg, reaching up and over. And then if you feel like you've got a bit of core strength, you can exhale, draw the navel in and lift up that leg, holding it out to the side, kicking through the heel. And this is lovely to take the hand behind the head, really get that strength through the spine, feel super strong and still. And then bring the foot back down, lift the arm up, inhale up through center. Boom. And down we come onto the other side. So find your waist nice and lifted, making that pillow with your arm. You can bend the bottom leg for that extra bit of balance and support. Keeping that space through underneath waist, stack the shoulders, stack those hips, and then that top leg bends in and straightens. And just be really aware of those desires to do this because it feels so much easier. It's really not going to help with that pelvic stability. And this is also really good for knee tracking. If you do running, if you do cycling or any kind of sports like that, it's really useful for training these side muscles to help us with keeping the knee tracking nice and straight. Soften those ribs. Sometimes we get a bit like this. Draw those ribs in. And then we'll go out for the circles. And you can point the toes, just help back the ankle the other way and circle that leg. Think about drawing those hip bones together, zipping towards the center line and the ribs together. And that's going to really help to contain what the pelvis want to do, rocking and rolling around. And then reverse those circles the other way. So really starting to feel into the side of the hip, hopefully, keeping everything as still as you can by drawing everything a big exhale. And then hold the leg still and swinging it forwards and swinging it back. Really think as you kick the leg forwards of sticking your bottom out the back, and as you take your leg back, take your hips forwards. So your hips are doing the opposite of your leg to help you control the pelvis and keep it stable while you're doing the movement with the leg. Just notice whether or not there's any tension going on up here. This should be nice and relaxed. All the work is in the core, all the work is in the pelvis. You're going for 2. Don't worry too much about the foot. If you want to flex and point it, you can. And then we'll finish. Pushing yourself up, we'll come to those high knees, taking that leg out to the side that was just being worked. Double check that you're not out or too far. Really try and get on top of that supporting knee and hip. Turn the toes forwards, push into that pinky toe, nice and active through the leg, arms out to the side. And then take a nice big reach up and over. You can take that hand behind the head if you want to for the shoulder, or you can reach it long. Inhale. And then as you exhale, lift the leg up. Find the balance. That's it, nice and strong through the heel, nice and strong through the head and the shoulders. And then release the leg down. Come back down, and to finish, we're gonna lie on the front. Bring your hands underneath your forehead, turn your knees out and your heels come together. So you can let your head rest on your hands. Just double check that you're not getting tense in the neck and the shoulders, and then you're just gonna squeeze those heels and release. Squeeze the heels, feel the glutes activate and release. And if it feels okay for your glutes, you can add in a little lift. If that doesn't feel good for the low back, stay with just the squeezes. If your back feels okay, you can add in trying to lift the thighs off the ground as you do the squeeze. If your back feels really good, you can start to add in lifting the head. And if you're feeling super strong in the back, you can add in lifting the hands to the forehead. And you can come up as you exhale and coming back down. Or if your back feels like it's strong enough, you can stay here and stay for the squeezes. We're going for 2 more. And then release the legs and push yourself back. And just take an easy child's pose to round out the back. On your next exhale, resuck up the spine. And in the next video, we will be doing some of the stretches and ways in which we can increase that range of motion in the hips. In the next video, we will look at how we can increase the range of motion in the hips once you've got that stability for the low back. Have a wonderful day, guys.